A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mamani and I welcome all of you to Study IQ. Dear friends, I hope you all are doing good and I believe that you have enjoyed your weekend as well. Dear friends, yesterday there was a question pertaining to behavioral economics and I have gone through your answers as well. And the thing that you can read on your screen is pertaining to behavior of human beings too. And this is smiles, right? Smiles are always in fashion and I would recommend all of you to give it a go, give it a try. But of course, make sure that when you are doing this thing, this experiment, you are in a safe environment. So please keep this in mind. Now the thing that I would like you to do, and trust me, you will enjoy this thing a lot as well, and you will learn about human behavior too. The thing is, if you throw or if you give a smile to unknown person, then you will observe that he or she or that person won't be able to stop himself or herself, right, in throwing back a smile to you. And this is a very natural thing, because a smile is something that this sort of interaction is coming from subconscious mind, and it is again this subconscious mind plays a very important role in human behavior and how we do the things. So do give it a go and it will help you a lot, trust me, in understanding how human beings works. And if you do this experiment successfully, do let me know your results. And I would also say that after this thing, you will find that you will become more curious regarding knowing more about our subconscious mind and how human behaves and things like that. Anyways, let's move ahead, and please allow me to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses for different exams like SSC, Bank, UPSC and other government exams. StudyIQ offers pen drive and tablet courses, and if you want to know more about it, all you have to do is check out StudyIQ.com. If you have any further queries, feel free to give us a call on this number. Dear friends, the first editorial that we have is pertaining to the war, or you can say a sort of cold war going on between government of India and judiciary, right? This may look a bit strange or sound a bit strange, but this is a reality, right? The justice system and the government are against each other, and this all started or it became more furious, you can say, when NJAC was introduced, National Judicial Appointment Commission. Now, at present as well, I'm sure you know that appointment of judges, right, for Supreme Court or for High Court is done by collegium, right? Collegium includes we only have one Chief Justice of India. So you have Chief Justice of India and you have 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court. So in total you have 5 members, and this 5 member form this thing called collegium, and this collegium will decide who will become a High Court judge, who will become Supreme Court judge, which High Court judge should become Chief Justice of that particular High Court, their transfers and things like that. Everything is being done by this collegium system. Now the government said that this system is not transparent, it is opaque, we don't know how you decide judges or how you decide the name and things like that, etc., etc. So it came out with National Judicial Appointment Commission. It introduced this was basically the constitution was amended, and this NJAC was introduced, in which the government will have a say in the appointment of judges. So this was rejected by the Constitutional Court of our country. So this is no more valid, and again this thing is still, as I told you, this collegium system is working. So this is something this is a main bone of you can say contention between these two parties here, government and judiciary. The government is saying that the system should be more transparent, and the judiciary is saying that if we include government, or if executives are taking part in deciding who should be the judge and who should not be, then it will have a direct impact on the freedom of judiciary. And of course we have to keep this in mind as well, that both these arguments are right, but we have to find a middle way there. We cannot allow this 2 pillars of our democracy to be at each other's throat. On the other hand, we also understand that both this government as well as judiciary, they are capable of great things. We have many bright minds and sensible people, heading both these different pillars of our democracy, and they have proven their track record, this both system as well as a government as well has proved its track record, and judiciary too has shown its sensibility and its commitment for democracy in the past. So we can easily say that a consensus is the only thing. If both of them, if they leave their ego and things like that aside, and if they know it very well that their main job or their main duty is to ensure that our democracy becomes more vibrant and it becomes more mature, isn't it? So they should work together. This is the only solution. And what is happening because of these clashes is that we of course know that we have huge amount of vacancies at different level, right, even in Supreme Court as well, and huge amount of vacancy is there in state level, or you can say High Court level, right, not the state level, but the High Court level is the right word. So we have a huge amount of vacancy in High Courts, and because of this somewhere around 54,000 cases are pending in Supreme Court at present, but there are in total somewhere around 2.5 crore cases that are pending throughout our country, and you can understand it very well that justice delayed is justice denied, right? If the judgment is coming in your favor after 20-25 years, then you won't be that much excited about it, and there are many people who are in fact are taking advantage of this delay in judicial process. So we have to sort this thing out, and it can be done by immediate filling up of this vacancy, and this can be done if the memorandum of procedure, right, MOP, basically you can understand from the name itself that what procedures should be followed when it comes to appointment of judge. So still this thing is not clear between judiciary and government, and still we as well as citizens, we don't know what exactly is going on, because the things are not coming out from either government or judiciary in a clear manner. So we know the solutions, we know the issue now, so I believe that that's everything that is important to know, or the things that are in fact not mentioned, and the things that we have discussed pertaining to this editorial. Moving on to another item, and this is about football. I'm not sure whether any of you are interested in football, but this game, right, this football is been watched over. It is the most followed, you can say, sport around the world. And we know the craze of football around many countries, in fact in our country as well, particularly in northeast parts of our southern states and West Bengal, right? I'm not sure whether even in your state, because you guys are from all different parts of India, isn't it? So do let me know if in your state as well if football is that much in fashion or not. Now the thing is, we know that a FIFA event took place in India, and it was a bit success, and this is a good thing for us, because earlier on we know in 2010 when Commonwealth Games were conducted in India, at that point of time we were in a hall of shame because of all the corruption and snake coming out in the residential area and all these things, in the hotels and rooms you find snakes and things like that. So this was not well taken by the world media, and it was a big matter of shame for us. But in this 7 years, things have changed a lot, no doubt about it, and the stadiums were jam-packed during this football event. Final is won by England, but I am not here to provide those sort of commentaries, isn't it? Basically, this editorial is talking about that we should, right, support this sport. And I do remember very well that when I was pursuing Masters of Management, at that point of time, it was we used to go through many case studies, and this football thing was a part of discussion, because IPL, we know it very well, it is a huge success. It is creating huge amount of work as well, or you can say livelihood opportunities for many people in our country. In the same way, if we get football, right? If football comes into fashion in our country, then you can understand the opportunities that football will bring with us is going to be huge. And as a country, we need this sort of things. You will have sports tourism. We can have this sort of things as well. People will come here for watching matches and things like that. And there are many products and services that will start after this football thing, and we will get investment from world, right, in form of FDI, and it will create, we have to create new stadiums. Of course, if as it will come in fashion, new stadiums will come into play, new coaches, we will have new training institutions, and we will have more teachers or trainers training students, or you can say training this football players of the future. But for that, we have to also ensure that of course we know the situation of malnourishment and things like that, so we have to deal with those things. On the other side, when it comes to school level, we have to ensure that students in our school, they get all these facilities, particularly the students in rural area and on a town level area, because we still today the reality is that if you are living in metro cities only, then you will find these coaching institutions who would be training you for football and other sports. So we have to provide this sort of facilities at rural and taluka area as well. So that's everything regarding it. This one is about great game. Now those students who are associated with this video lecture series, or you can say discussion of the Hindu analysis in English since its inception, then you would be knowing about this great game, because I remember I have provided you a question regarding great game a couple of weeks ago. But great game is all about the power tussle, or you can say the competition going on between major countries like USA, China and Russia. And because of this competition, we find the countries like Afghanistan are paying, or you can say they are bearing the brunt of this competition. Now one more thing, dear friends, I have observed many a times, you guys have pointed this thing out, so I would like to clarify this thing, and it is important here to talk about this thing. The thing is that many times you find this sort of maps, right? First of all, I would like to say that I'm as patriotic as you are, right? India is my mother country, so and no doubt all the things that I say, right? Of course, as a teacher, I have to be impartial. I cannot be biased, as you will appreciate this, those things as well, because that won't make me professional enough. But when it comes to our country, then let me tell you that Jammu and Kashmir, the whole part is inseparable part of our country. There is no doubt about it. Now, many a times I find this sort of maps, and the reason I'm not providing this sort of maps for any sort of purpose or agenda. The main thing is if you read this article, right, then you cannot ignore China. I have to project China here, and this is the best map that I can provide you here. So you can see the connection between Afghanistan and China, which this particular map is talking about. I could have provided you an Asian map as well, right, but that won't be this much. You can understand that it is not Asian map is a map of Asia, isn't it? You cannot zoom that map. When I say zoom, I mean to say that our focus area is this part, this Afghanistan, Pakistan, India and China. So this was the best map that I got, and any time in future as well, if you see this sort of things, then please ignore these things, right? It really doesn't matter. We know the situation of our country, and we all love our country, isn't it? Right, dear friends, this one is about the great games, the new great games, right? The new things that are going on over here. Earlier, we know that if I take you back to the history of this Afghanistan, then it was USSR, right? USSR, or you can say Soviet. They were the people who invaded Afghanistan. So at that point of time, Cold War were going on between, or you can say still they are going on between. There is a sort of war going on between Russia and USA. China and USA, right? No doubt they are not, you cannot say they are the most, they are having a sort of friendly relationship with each other. Anyways, so USSR invaded Afghanistan, and at that point of time USA intervened here, and USA provided all this support and weapons and things like that, and then you had all these Mujahideen soldiers who took weapons in their hands in the name of religion, and they fought against this USSR, and finally later on this Mujahideen realized that how about they take the political control of the whole thing, and since then you see this sort of terrorism and things like that, etc., etc., going on in here in Afghanistan. Now the thing is, nowadays what we see here is that of course we know the relationship between India and China, India and Pakistan. It's not cordial at all. In fact, we are arch enemies of each other. Then you have India and China. Yes, we are in competition with each other on many levels, on many global platforms. We say that we should cooperate and we should, of course, competition should be there, but it should be a healthy competition, but not a sort of cutthroat competition, and there should not be any sort of issues between these two countries. It's fine as well, but then you have, we know the reality that it's not, they don't walk the talk, right? They don't always do the things that they say, and Afghanistan and Pakistan as well are not having that good relationship with each other. But India and Afghanistan both are sharing good relationship with each other. China is also having good relationship with Afghanistan and Pakistan, so you can see that things a bit dirty over here, isn't it? And now recently USA has released its South Asian policy, and this is pertaining to Afghanistan. We have talked about it because for the longest period of time, from last 15-16 years, USA is here in Afghanistan. So this is a great game over here, and USSR, it doesn't exist anymore, but you have Russia instead, isn't it? And things have not changed that much. So Russia is also interested in Afghanistan because of its history, and Russia is having good relationship with China, and its relationship are growing, or the friendship between Russia and Pakistan is strengthening, and the age-old relationship between India and Russia is not that good, or you can say that things we are finding a sort of gap between each other. The relationship is having a sort of gap between each other, and the gap is increasing a little bit as we are getting a bit closer to USA. We are going a bit far from Russia. So this is a big picture of this part of the world. Now let me tell you that China has invested huge amount of money in Afghanistan. We know that China has invested huge amount of money in Pakistan, but the Chinese companies are present in Afghanistan, and they have invested a lot. In fact, even there are many reports indicating that these companies are bribing the officials and top politicians of Afghanistan, and they are extracting minerals and other important items from Afghanistan. And Afghanistan cannot, we can understand their situation, because it is a country that is it is desperate for development, right? It requires money for these things, and many times they have to compromise these sort of things as well. And even its historical items, right? Many historical items they are having. Over there you find this 2,000-year-old statues of Buddhas and things associated with it, but these things are ignored at present. So this sort of things are going on in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan would you can say that it has at present it has said that it is not going to join this China-Pakistan economic corridor, but you never know, they may join this thing as well. And India cannot rely too much on USA, because see, when it comes to relationship between US and Pakistan, at present things are not right. But if you go through the past as well, then you find that this sort of love-hate relationship has always been there between US and Pakistan is you have to appreciate this thing of Pakistan, that their foreign officials or their external affairs officials are very, you can say, sharp enough. They know how to take out money and technology from USA. So they know it very well. They are expert in this thing. And when it comes to India and USA, relationships are going on good. But you know the nature of Mr. Trump. All of the sudden he can do some maneuvers, right? He is very agile in taking this sort of decision. So we never know, and we cannot spoil our relationship with Russia and China, because China is a neighbor. We are going to stay with China, right? And we cannot change our neighborhood. So China is here, right? That's a reality. Even if we are not having that good relationship with China at present, then as well we have to find ways to develop this relationship rather than spoiling it, because we cannot, as I told you, rely on that much on USA, and we cannot even ignore Russia, who has been an all-weather friend of our country, right? Russia has stood for India in the past as well, and if required it can stand in the future as well. So these are the things that are mentioned here in this article. Moving on to another item, and this is pertaining to High Court. Now the thing is, we know that there are many tribunals in our country, and there are different tribunals for different purposes. Like you have for companies tribunal, that means if there are any issues going on between any companies or company laws and things like that, then you have tribunal for that. We have gone through this Green Tribunal, National Green Tribunal as well, NGT. So we have tribunals, and the thing is, what these tribunals are doing is they are in fact, you can say, negatively impacting our high courts, because the thing is, see, the framers of our constitution who have designed our constitution, they have given a sort of central position to our high courts. You would be surprised to know this thing, that high courts have some extra power when you compare it with Supreme Court. Of course, Supreme Court is the supreme or the apex court of our country, but the jurisdiction of High Court is bit wider when you compare it with Supreme Court. These are technical things. Of course, you don't have to go too much deep in these things, but this is just to throw some light regarding importance of 24 high courts that we have in our country. Now the thing is, why these tribunals are, or how these tribunals are destroying our high courts. The thing is that what is happening, first of all, these tribunals were launched by, or you can say released by, or produced by government, right? It is not coming directly from the constitution. The second thing is that see, here is your tribunal, right? And if you are not happy about regarding the decision that tribunal has given to you, then you cannot go to High Court. The second step, or the next move that you can take, is you have to go to Supreme Court. So in this way, high courts are clearly rejected, right? It is bypassed by this tribunal. So this is not a good thing. And when you compare the powers of tribunal and High Court, then we find that tribunals are made by, as I told you, by the government, but high courts get their power from constitution. The second thing is that the judges, or the people who are appointed as the head of these tribunals, are selected by the government. But when it comes to high courts, then you don't find interference of this executives in the appointment and service conditions of high court. So they are independent. So in this way as well, they are a bit better, or they are in a good shape, or you can say they are a bit their powers are fine when you compare it with tribunals. So these are some negative sides of tribunals and positive or you can say strengths of these high courts. So we can easily understand that high court should not be bypassed. The other thing is that high courts are more accessible. As I told you, we have 24 high courts in our country, but when it comes to tribunals, say for example, if there is any sort of case going on pertaining to share market, and if you are, say for example, from Kerala or Northeast, then you have to travel all the way to Mumbai, right? You have to knock the doors of Securities Appellate Tribunal for this sort of issues. So this is again a big problem. It is not accessible, and it also impacts the whole judiciary or judicial system, because see, we know that Supreme Court, then the subordinate court is High Court or High Courts. So the judges of High Courts are naturally going to see themselves in future, right? It does not apply that every High Court judge will become a Supreme Court judge. No, we have very limited seat over there, but this is a ladder, and this is a way to reach here. One of the way, you can say, because you can also become a Supreme Court judge if you are a prominent lawyer. Anyways, so this High Court judges, right, if they are bypassed, right, if tribunal is bypassing them, and if different laws, right, if different cases, diverse cases are not reaching these High Courts, then in future when they will become Supreme Court judge, at that point of time they won't have that much expertise, or their experience won't be that vast, isn't it? So this is a negative thing. That is a negative thing for the whole judiciary or justice delivery system. So this should be changed. We should give more powers to High Courts, or you can say that the tribunals. If we want to sort this thing out, what you can do is that tribunals, if you are not happy with tribunals, then you can the next step should be High Courts, and if you are not happy with the High Court, then only you can go to Supreme Court. So we have to place High Court above tribunals, and if we do these things, then all the other things will fall in line and everything would be fine and cushy. So moving on to another item, this are 3 articles here. This one is pertaining to politics, right? So that if you go through it, then it is about Congress versus BJP, and how this thing is not right and that not right, etc., etc. But let me tell you that it is not that it is written by a congressman. That's the reason I'm rejecting it, or I'm not discussing this thing. Even if it would have been written by a sort of BJP man, if this article is not providing any sort of knowledge, it is just about criticism, then there is no point of wasting our time in it. But let me tell you, whenever you read any articles, right, from say for example any union minister or a minister of state, or say for example if you are from Karnataka, right? In Karnataka you have Congress government, right? So if any minister or chief minister of Karnataka is writing, if you find any article written by him or her, or you can say executives, then you should read them, because the things that would be mentioned in those articles would be official in nature, right? You won't find this sort of criticism and things like that. You'll find data regarding their ministry or their government, and this sort of things helps you a lot, not this sort of things. This one here is a sort of series, and this is called From the Reader's Editor. If you are interested in journalism, then these are good articles here. But for your competitive exams, I haven't found anything that is important for you here. And this one is about Japan. We have talked about the political scenario of Japan. We have talked about how the relationship between India and Japan, and of course Mr. Abe continuing. That means all these bullet trains and the relationship between India and Japan are going to continue as well. There won't be any sort of change here. But this article is talking about economy of Japan, and how it is going to how deflation affected it, and job creation and things like that. So if you want to invest money in Japan, then this is a good article. But if you are just an aspirant, if you are just focusing on your studies at present, then you can ignore this article altogether. Now you can term it a good news, or you can say a new thing that started taking place, and of course it is a good news, no doubt, and it is pertaining to Chabahar port, right? India, Iran, Afghanistan. So now this route is open, and this is for the first time, right? Indian ships carrying wheat to Afghanistan via Chabahar, where it was successfully conducted, right? And we have promised to provide 1.1 million tons of wheat to Afghanistan on grant basis. And dear friends, you know the route here, right? We have talked about this thing quite a lot, so I don't think I have to explain bits and pieces regarding this thing, but I must tell you that this is a waterway that we are using, because Pakistan is a sort of logistic problem for us. It is not allowing India and Afghanistan to connect with each other. So we have decided to go with a trilateral agreement, in which we have Iran working as a sort of channel, right? Or you can say it will connect this Afghanistan and India with each other. The other thing is that recently we also talked about how India and Iran's relationship are given a sort of a nod by USA. It is not that much disturbed, or you can say there is no problem at all to USA when India and Iran are having relationship with each other, or they are developing a relationship with each other. And when, as we have reached here, we will also reach Central Asia, right? I don't have to, I believe, mention what Central Asia is. It should be crystal clear by now because we have talked about this thing quite a lot. News coming from United Nations peacekeeping, right? And this thing was mentioned in Mann Ki Baat program. Dear friends, I would recommend all of you to listen to this Mann Ki Baat program. I'm not promoting BJP here, not at all. I am not associated with any political party. Mann Ki Baat program is a program not given by a BJP person, right? It is given by Prime Minister of India. Right, so keep this thing in mind. You won't hear negative things regarding any political parties and things like that. He would be talking, the things that you will listen or hear in this program is going to be important in terms of all the citizens, right? It is going to be in the interest of our country. So you should give it a go. If you are not listening it, then I would recommend to go through it, because it was 37, right? For this was the 37th episode, and you find many important topics here, and the views of Prime Minister as well on this thing. The other thing is that he has talked about this United Nations peacekeeping mission or peacekeeping force, and India is the third highest contributor to United Nations peacekeeping mission. Now this was mentioned by him, but see, dear friends, this thing was not mentioned, but I would like to highlight you here this thing, that United Nations General Assembly took place in September, and at that point of time we also saw United Nations Security Council. It was in news, and we have talked about this thing that amendments are required. We need India. India is, for the longest period of time, India is trying to get a permanent seat of this United Nations Security Council. Now, what are the strengths that we have? See here, third highest contributor, right? There are five, you can say there are P5, most powerful or permanent 5 members. But then as well, India, being a non-permanent member too, is providing security personnel, and we are ranking number 3rd in quantity, and our security personnel do have a huge amount of respect as well when they are deployed in other countries. So this is a strong point for India to claim membership of United Nations Security Council. Apart from that, our economy is growing fast, and we are a major economy. We are presenting 17% of world population and things like that. So these are the other things as well. Multilateral subjects are going to be part of discussion between India and Italy. Italian Prime Minister is going to be here in India. You can see here, this is the country Italy here. We have talked about Spain, France, Switzerland, and we have also recently talked about Czech Republic too, right, which is just here. We have talked about Germany in the past. So this should be there in your, this picture should be crystal clear in your mind. And see here, one thing I would like to highlight here about Italy is that you can see many different seas here. Mediterranean, then you have this other Ionian Sea and Tyrrhenian Sea you find here, right? So there are nearly 5 seas here, so do spend time after this thing. And it is important, this Mediterranean Sea, when you see here, you find that it is a sort of a central country in this portion, this part of Europe. Dear friends, the relationship between these two countries were not that good between 2012 and 16 because of this Marine Institute or Marines, right? They killed 2 Italian Marines. They killed fishermen of Kerala, and this was a big issue between both these countries. But now things are okay now, and after finding a diplomatic solution regarding this problem, we have also observed, or we have also seen that Italy has supported us in our entry to MTCR, Missile technology control regime, and we are also seeking their support in nuclear suppliers group. Then dear friends, the news are coming from Catalonia, Spain, right? Coming from Spain, and there are many people in Spain, or you can say in Catalonia, who have came out in the street, and they have said that it belongs to us, to all of us. That means we are not for this bifurcation of Catalonia as a different country. You have not consulted us, and we want one Spain in which Catalonia is also its part. So these are the things that have changed a little bit, and these things are in favor of central government, and election is been declared by the central government, and it is going to take place on the 21st of December this year. Iran has said that it will go ahead with producing missiles. Now let me tell you, as per the international law, there is no harm at all if you are producing missile, but USA is using too much force here, right? It is being too much biased, and of course Iran is not going to you cannot stop Iran, because the things they are doing is something that will protect their country. It will add more teeth to their country. They are not dealing with nuclear weapons anymore, so it's all good. GOM, that is group of ministers, it was composed, GOM was composed to look into the issue of this GST composition scheme, and they have suggested that the interest rate should be down to 1%. Now let me give you a basic difference regarding composition scheme. See, if the businesses which fall under composition scheme, say for example small businesses and these restaurants, so they have to pay, right, their GST return, you can say they have to file every 3 months, every quarter, rather than the other businesses which they have to do it on monthly basis. And this one is an advertisement of India Africa Knowledge Exchange Mission, going to start from today. We'll talk about it in future, but this is as advertisement. Just help yourself with it, and do go through this key objectives. Dear friends, the answer for yesterday's question, yes, it's HELP, stands for Hydrocarbon Exploring and License Policy, and the main aim is to bring down import of petroleum products, you can say, by 10% by 2022. So this is right. I have gone through your answers regarding this behavioral economics. I must say that many of you have responded very good answers, but still I would appreciate if more of you can contribute to this behavioral economics example. And today's question is GEM. What is GEM? This is a platform launched by government, so do provide the full form as well as how it works, or what are the benefits of this GEM. The other is you might have heard about Sister Nivedita. If not, then you should learn about her, Sister Nivedita, right? She is famously known as, or you can say that out of love or respect, people have given her another name as well. So what is that name? Or you can say Sister Nivedita is also known as, aka what? And the third question is, we have discussed about this UN peacekeeping force, and there is a country in which for the first time, right, you can say first time in the world, a country has sent its ladies police force, and it is India, right? India has sent its ladies police force as under this United Nations peacekeeping force. So you have to provide the name of this country, which is the country in which India has sent its ladies police force, and this was the first time in the world that took place there. So do let us know about this answers, and I would wait for your valuable comments. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and pass your comment. Jai Hind, dear friends. Enjoy your studies.